Hi, hi, hi. So, we have with us today my dear friend and a very good colleague, Dr. Vidya Arunachalam. So, yeah, hi Vidya, hi.
You are very
Yeah.
clearly.
So, am I audible, Vidya? Yeah, all right. So, yeah. So, she is a very well known homeopath practicing in the Jew area for more than a decade now. And she was also a former assistant professor at CMP Homeopathic Medical College. And she has been working in this field of mental health because she has a special interest and liking, I think, towards this field. And she's also worked with a very well-known homeopathic psychiatrist for many years. Yeah, in Juhu, Dr. Manoj Patel, and yeah, and I feel that she is one who is really going to help us with this topic of emotional regulation and how to handle our emotions in our ups and downs. So I think without wasting more time, just let's dive into the topic. So, Dr. Vidya, can you just explain us
So
that what is this emotional
from what I
regulation?
understand it, right, like I've been doing a little bit of research for the past year and a half, because I think everybody struggles with coming to terms with their emotions, kind of settling it in. And usually we do one of two things. Either we try to escape something that is difficult for us to handle, or we suppress it. And neither of them are really effective methods. So emotional regulation essentially is a skill set that you learn to handle your emotions and then utilize them in the correct direction. Because I do feel that a lot of people are very averse to their emotions if they are negative, and then you just sort of want to get rid of it in the interim period. It's a lot like our responsibilities, right? You can either learn to love them and make them a part of your life, or you can just get through them and get irritated with them and look at them as a burden. So I do feel like emotional regulation is a skill set which can be learned very easily. It's not as complicated that like a lot of the internet shows, right? That I have seen a lot of information about it. It's become a very popular topic nowadays, but it's very fragmented. It's in bits and pieces, and I do think that there's a lot of heaviness around the topic, that it's so intense, and there's so much of trauma, and there's a lot of negativity associated with it. So either people approach it with a lot of trepidation, in the sense that, oh my god, I'm going to have to endure a lot of difficulty, or they sort of just look at it as time pass, and like, what is there, I will lead my life however I want to. So I think I really am interested, like you said, in delineating a course which makes it easier and a little bit more palatable, something that we can do on a day-to-day basis, and make it easier for us to lead our lives in a very simple manner, right?
Okay, right, right. So I think Dr. Vidya, what you're trying to say is like, uh, we are like our human brain is filled up with lots of emotions, right? And every second, even when we are talking to each other, there is some amount of emotion which is there. But how we can manage our day-to-day activities and how to manage our emotion, like how we deal with our physical health, like we do some exercises, we there is many people, and I think with today's generation they're very focused on their physical fitness, right? And so there's something which you want to talk about which we can do on daily basis for our mental health, some few skill set which should
Absolutely,
help us
absolutely.
to
So I
manage
think
our
essentially you
emotions
can
effectively, right?
categorize it into three phases, right? So and you've given an excellent example, because exercise is something you can correlate to emotional regulation very easily. Now, usually if you are an unfit person or an unhealthy person, you look at people who go to the gym who are very fit, you sort of fall back thinking that, oh my God, look at the amount of effort that they're putting, and how will I go and be able to lift these weights? How will I take time out of my day to do it? It's a very similar concept. So when you see a person who's very calm, very collected, you sort of always question yourself in that sense that, how am I going to do this? But actually, the processes are very simple. You just have to repeat them on a day-to-day basis and get used to them being a part of your life. So essentially, there are three phases in understanding how to regulate yourself emotionally. The first thing is when you have an acute, intense emotional response. The second phase is to develop mental immunity, just like you would develop physical immunity in your body. And the third is a little bit more complicated. We will come as we progress, we will understand it better. Is to understand why you have these behavioral patterns or these tendencies because of a identity that you hold, right? So it's not easy for us to break out of this identity unless and until we understand what is happening in our heads, why we behave the way we do, and then how to shift it without you traumatizing yourself or without like causing a lot of stress to yourself, right? So we'll talk about the first phase, and before we get into that, I would like to define what you understand by emotions, right? So anytime you have a thing inside of you, indicative of the state you are in. So, for example, if you are feeling energetic and you're feeling light, it means you are in a good state of health. Whereas if you're feeling dull, you're feeling unmotivated, it means you're not in a good state of health. Now, this can be changed either by an internal structure that you put, like exercising, drinking enough water, sleeping enough, and developing a body that is naturally energetic, or you can drink coffee, which is very ironic. I have a mug right here. But you can drink coffee and then you can produce a temporary result. So, emotional regulation is pretty much the same thing. If you are feeling constantly in a state of not being happy, not being settled, not being confident, you can induce these results by validation externally, having relationships, having distractions like scrolling on your phone, or you can develop a personality that allows you to be stable at a consistent pace, right? So, if you can understand that your feelings are basically just an indicator of where you are, and you take it as feedback and then channelize it in the direction of improvement, it is not going to feel that heavy. Okay. So, going into the first phase is whenever you have an yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, Dr. Vidya, before we go in, I would like to tell our audience that if you have any questions, do write down in the comment section and we are going to answer those questions at the end. So please feel to write the questions. And another thing, Dr. Vidya, as you were talking about what are emotions and you know how, so I just want to know that how, before we go into the phases, that many a times I've seen that people are not aware, like self awareness about how you feel is also not there. So how, first I think people also need to work on how they are feeling. So how can you just help with that, you know, how to become aware about our emotions, and then
Absolutely. I think the
obviously
first
what
thing
are
is
the
that
skill sets we can
would
apply
not
to change
really
them.
consider
Yeah.
something as a prerequisite is to be ready to feel what you are. If you're developing the skill set, you need to understand that it's not going to be an easy process in the beginning stages. So just like when you go to gym for the first time, you're not going to go there and enjoy yourself right off the bat. You are going to find and get a little initially because it's very new
Right.
for you. You are going to find yourself in uncomfortable positions. You're going to find yourself feeling tired and feeling exhausted in the initial stages. But as you remain consistent, you will come out of it very quickly. So awareness and a willingness to go through this process is probably the first thing that you want. Second is, I think, Tanvi, you will understand this more than anyone else. Is as homeopaths, we understand we have a natural healing capacity. Your body and your mind are wired to heal itself. It's only us who stand in the way very often. And so, if you think that you're going into this blind, you are not. Essentially, what you are doing is you are cultivating an environment around it so that your mind can heal itself, and it is very well capable of it. So, if you are not from a background of psychology, or if you have not done a lot of research, if you think that you don't have the knowledge to do this, you are not essentially correct, right? And the third thing is doing it with a couple of people around you who are trustworthy, who you can rely on is very helpful. This is probably where professional help can also can assist you, where somebody who mirrors back and sort of gives you a feedback saying that listen, this is what I think you are going through can help. But again, your source that is something that somebody you can trust. Okay, and the resources are there. That is the only reason I'm a little scared is because you have a plethora. So some of it is good resources and some of it goes down a very dark path. So I do feel like yeah, and if people are genuinely interested, there are books I can recommend. There is Emotional Processing by Dr. Stormy. I will put it up on my story after we are done. She's really good. So you read the books if you are interested. But essentially,
Right.
it's not very complicated. That's what I want people to understand, that when they say, oh, I don't know what I'm feeling, it's just a matter of creating a little space, you'll automatically understand the things that you're going through.
Right. So I feel that self-reflection and awareness, as difficult it appears, it is not that difficult. As you mentioned, that by reflection and keeping people whom we trust, and that would make it a little bit more easier. So I think Dr. Vidya will just dig into that. What are the skill sets, as you were talking about the skill set too, and it is something I feel which we can manage ourselves, right, and on daily basis. So what are the phases you were talking about? I think we should dive into that first phase, as you were talking about in acute phases, like
Yes.
for example, if you have an
So the
acute
first phase is
outburst
an
of
acute
emotion,
phase.
how to
Now I want
manage
you to
that.
imagine two people who are fighting, okay, and they are absolutely livid with one another. They are going to hit one another. They are extremely violent. Now you need to understand what are you going to do as a human being to break them apart. Okay, it's not very, again, it's not a very difficult. If at this point of time you try and use logic in this process, you are probably going to get hit along with the other person, right? You are not, people are not going to listen to you at that time. And this is a normal thing. So
Right.
when you have an emotionally intense response, usually a negative one, your mind stops focusing on logic, because at that time logic is not a priority, and it starts focusing on your survival mechanisms, right? What you would call your amygdala, your limbic system, whatever it is, because its priority is to get you out of feeling threatened or feeling in danger. So at that time, if you're expecting your areas of logic to work, it will not happen. Okay, so what you first need to understand, first step is to recognize and acknowledge that you are in a disturbed state. Okay, this, although sounds painfully simple, it's something that a lot of us ignore. It takes us a long time to recognize, okay, I am doing this because I am stressed out. And you will find that when you are in this state, when your limbic area is engaged, that you will not have good thoughts. You will not be confident, because that priority of your mind at that time is to not feed your healthy aspects. It just wants to get you out of the situation. So you will have thoughts of failure. You will have thoughts of dire circumstances, or this is not going to work out, I'm going to make a fool of myself. Like if you're going to go and give a presentation, you will start to have images of you tripping on the stage, you will start to have images of you making a mistake. And this is basically your mind reacting to your anxiety, saying that, you know what, tujhe anxiety se acha you just don't do the talk at all, it's safer for you to stay away. Okay, so that is when you recognize that you are in this state, telling yourself that, listen, I have prepared, I know how to do this, I've done this 1,000 times before, is probably not going to help. Okay, so first stage is to recognize and acknowledge it. The second stage is to soothe. Now, whenever you have anxiety, whenever you have anger, you will feel it in the body, right? So, soothing your mind again is not probably a sensible thing. You have to soothe your body. You have to get into some sort of rhythm where your body recognizes that you are not in danger anymore and you can settle down. Okay, so any kind of activity that allows you to develop this kind of rhythm is something that is going to get you out of this state very quickly. So the simplest form is breathing. We keep saying ki breathing karo, pranayam karo, do it. So what happens when you do this is that you are engaging your vagus nerve and you are triggering your parasympathetic nervous system, or the center that is supposed to calm you down and relax you, to show that you're safe. There's nothing wrong. Okay. Talking to people is a very good way to soothe. So if you are seeing your friend in a very heightened state, to talk to them in a very calm and a very consistent tone is something that will bring them down. Getting a hug is an excellent way to soothe you. If you don't have anyone around, then you can hug yourself, and it's a very sad thing, but it's very effective. Going for a walk is a great thing, especially if your emotions are heightened, like when you're angry or where you're hyper. Going and taking a couple of rounds around your wherever you are can help you. So doing anything will with rhythm will again indicate to your mind that now you are safe. You don't have to worry about it. So try to soothe yourself as much as possible. If you are going to a presentation and you cannot do any of these things, humming to yourself is a great way. You know, consistently humming the same tune in a deeper tone can help. Okay, so all of these methodologies, again, if you go onto the internet and research, these things are abundantly available. Different methods of how to bring it down. Once you have come to a space where you realize, okay, now I'm calm. I am still feeling anxiety, but I'm not getting triggered by it. I'm not reacting to it. Then is when you connect. Now, either you can do this with a friend of yours, like if I can call you up and say, Tanvi, I'm not feeling too well. I want to talk to you about what is happening. Or you can do this with yourself. In the initial stages, if you are really struggling with anxiety, doing it with someone else will help. And to inform a few of your friends or your family members that, I'm trying to get out of this. So when I'm going through this phase, please help me out. I will call you if I'm going through a state. And this is very different from just calling a person and venting. I want people to understand this. You are not utilizing the person to, take your emotions out. You are using them to connect with yourself and understand what is happening inside. So I think a lot of people understand the concept of venting, just calling up and, what happened? It was so bad. And then after that, you forget about it. What you're trying to do is create a pattern here. So be conscious of what you are doing. So once you connect, start describing what is happening inside of you. Okay, I'm feeling tightness in the chest. I'm feeling really difficult. It's difficult for me to breathe. I'm not able to think clearly. All of these things you start to say to yourself, and then you start to connect. Okay, so this presentation is what is making me upset, right? This is what is happening. And by the time you reach this stage, usually you will see your mind is calm enough to come back to the area of logic. It has enough capacity to come back to your cortical center. You will see this when people get angry also. You break them apart, you take them for a walk around. By the time they have finished the walk, they'll come back and say, you know what, forget it. Yeah, I don't want to fight with that person. The sense comes back. So what you essentially want to do is to exercise this process. That every time I have a heightened emotion, I'll bring it down, I'll bring it down, I'll bring it down. Now, initially, it is going to feel awkward, right? It's not going to feel natural because we are not used to dealing with our emotions in this way. We are also not used to seeing people deal with their emotions. Okay? So it might feel strange. Just like the first time you do a squat, they will ask you to position your hips in a particular way. फिर ऐसा chin tuck करो, वो सब करो. It feels weird, but the thing is, the more you do it, your body will automatically align. So mentally also, your mind will align to this. That this is what I have to do every time I have a heightened emotion, right? So if you keep exercising it and find yourself coming to that phase of a desired temperament, that when something happens, I can automatically be calm and go to logic. You can't force yourself. You have to.
Right, right, right. So yeah, as Dr. Vidya, you I think clearly mentioned about 3 steps in the initial phase. That is, I think, recognizing what are you feeling and acknowledge it, right? Secondly is soothing your body, because soothing mind at that time would be difficult for people, and you have
Correct.
given a lot of things and ways on how we can soothe our body. And second, last one is
One is
third
then
one is
analyzing the
connecting
situation, which
with
most
people
people
and sort
automatically.
of yeah,
Yeah.
right, right, and then analyze. Right, because as you correctly mentioned that when we are in an acute mental state, maybe anger or anything, when we are experiencing that, our thoughts, our logic are not in place, and that's why many a times the reaction is impulsive. It happens that we react in that impulse, and then many times we regret that, the way we reacted to that situation. But what you're suggesting, if we keep on following this routine or sort of this exercise in initial, in when you are facing that, we will get used to this pattern, and maybe next time, okay, after maybe fourth or fifth time, the reaction which we have in these situations are going to be in a much better way, and it is going to be with logical thinking, with our, sort of cognition or our thoughts, rather than getting affected by emotions and reacting to that
Absolutely,
moment in
absolutely.
a
It's like
way
you
which
you
maybe
fail
then
yourself,
people
right?
regret
Essentially, every
later
time
on,
you have that
right?
reaction, so you can prevent it. Essentially, what you are providing yourself is with freedom. That I can handle whatever it is.
Right,
At least I see there's always a 10-15%
right,
chance that you may not react the way you do.
right,
That is in anybody's case. Like if something big happens and you have a breakdown, that's very understandable. Like the first time your boss tells
right,
you and you start crying, it's okay. That's
right,
a normal thing for it to happen. But then every time the boss crosses your path, you cannot break down shivering, right? That so that 15% which we concentrate too much
right,
on,
right,
let go of that 15%. That is not in
right,
your hands anyway, right? And the rest of the 5% which we can handle, we'll try to strengthen.
right. Right. Okay. So, Dr. Vidya, you also mentioned about the second phase in which sort of you develop and to develop immunity or something, a mental immunity, right?
Absolutely.
Can you
So
just throw
your
some light
mind has
on
two
that? Like,
components. It has
how
an
can
emotional
we do
component and it has
that?
an intellectual component, and they work on each other, right? Now, as a society, we have really developed our intellectual side beautifully. Very, very analytical, very practical, a lot of knowledge-based things we know. But the thing is, if you don't strengthen your emotional side, they cannot work together. There will always be a disparity between the two. So the first thing, if you want to build emotional immunity or emotional strength, think of it like cardio or flexibility, either which one you want to think of, is to understand that till now, what programming we have is every time we get an emotion, we go towards the sympathetic nervous system or the survival mode or any what you want to call as fight, flight response, right? This is how we have been trained. Not that we did it on purpose, but it is what has happened. So what we want to start doing from now onwards is to start training ourselves to start leaning towards the parasympathetic nervous system. And just like any exercise, you have to utilize that part for you to strengthen it. So if I want to build my biceps, I have to start using it and put. So in your emotional building, what you want to do is to start activities that help you energize your parasympathetic nervous system. Now, this is any form of deep breathing or any form of exercise. Okay, so that is why when we say yoga is so important, we just crossed International Yoga Day. Yoga is a phenomenal method to improve this kind of emotional tone. Okay, any form of exercise is great. Whether you are walking, whether you are, especially exercises that require to hold a position and breathe while you are in that position is extremely effective. So Pilates is great, gymming is great because you do have to repeat exercises again and again, and you are putting yourself essentially to through stress, but you are keeping your state calm, okay, by learning to breathe. So this is an excellent way to learn to engage your parasympathetic nervous system. Okay. The second way is dancing. If you are someone who likes that very much, dancing is a great way to engage it again. And any form of happy activity is a great way to engage it. Because essentially you're doing the same thing, right? Like when you're running away from a stranger who's following you, you're doing the same activity. But when you're going for a jog, you're doing the same activity but in a calm state of mind. So essentially you're training your body to remain calm no matter what. Okay, so this is the first way. So building emotional tone, which is something you can do easily. The first 15 minutes of your day, if you can contribute to just breathing, there is one breathing activity called Wim Hof breathing, which is very popular online. If you can just do that the first 10 minutes of your day and note in this 1 week how your mind remains calm and it doesn't go into panicking, it doesn't go into catastrophizing, you will be surprised. And it's only 10 minutes. It's not like it's a long period of time. Okay, so that is the first step. The second step is to build intellectual immunity. Okay, now intellectual immunity is focus. You have to learn how to concentrate and focus on one point and not let your thoughts run away. Right, and that is something that we are really struggling with thanks to social media and scrolling and the variety of things that can distract us now. So, again, 10-15 minutes you can contribute in the day, especially in the beginning, because your mind is still waking up, it is still not completely engaged in anything. If you can dedicate a certain amount of time to, if you are into meditation, it is brilliant. I have heard a lot of people say ki I'm not a person who can meditate. It's like saying I'm not a person who can touch my toes. You can learn. Okay, it's not something that's very complicated, right? So you have to understand that there are 100 guided meditations on YouTube. There are a lot of apps that allow you to meditate where you are listening to either a sound and you are trying to focus. All you are trying to do is get your focus back onto that one sound or that one voice or one area, right? So you are not trying to become thoughtless. You are trying to only focus on one particular thought. You can do that, but if you still feel you are not a person who meditates, then any kind of focused activity which requires motor skills is great. So crocheting, art, adult coloring books are there, which are great. Where you sit and you focus only on that. If you feel you don't have the time in the day, Then if you are somebody who does chores at home, then you make sure it's a very focused and mindful activity, that you're sitting when you're washing the vessels, you are only sitting and washing the vessels. You're not listening to music at that time. You're not talking to somebody at that time. 10 minutes a day again can be extremely focused. See, your mind and body are very smart. They're smarter than you most of the times. So if you can direct it and tell that this is what I want you to do, it will pick up on that pattern. But you need to be consistent. You need to do it every day for it to understand, okay, this is what makes her happy. So let's start doing it again and again. Okay?
Right, right. So yeah, I think Dr. Vidya, you have talked about a very, I think, new topic for many of our viewers, that about, we all know about physical immunity and how to work on our physical immunity, but you're talking something about emotional immunity and intellectual immunity. So how, like, we are, especially during COVID and after COVID, I've seen people are a lot focused on how to develop their physical immunity. And yes, there is a lot of awareness about mental health and how to work towards our mental health now. But as you mentioned earlier, that it is all scattered, and with this generation, Gen Z generation, where we have so much access to the social media and the internet, sometimes there's a lot of incomplete or some misleading information which is also available. But I think you have put down the points so clearly and so well, that how you can sort of work on your mental immunity, how to develop your mental immunity, and that too you divided into emotional immunity and intellectual immunity. And you mentioned about ways, and that's why we have seen a lot of adults nowadays also engaging. You mentioned about art, mandala art, where there's so much of concentration and focusing
Absolutely.
on not to let the color going out of that intricate design. Yeah, so it takes so much of a focus, motor skill, and even if we do that, maybe on the way to work or something, it will really help us to develop
Okay,
our
and the thing is,
emotional
right,
and
in the
intellectual
older times, this used
immunity
to be something they
mostly.
would do automatically. Like, if you understand that women who used to work in the kitchen would sit and knead the dough for
Right,
a long time period of time, or they would, do papad banana, or doing like very motor skill driven chores, or even men used to do that. They would walk for long periods of time. So, this would help them process a lot of things, right? But now the demand is only a lot, where we are sitting in one spot for extended periods
right,
of time, and and the thing is, multitasking is probably not a smart thing, but unfortunately it has become a skill set you need, that I can think of five things at the same time. It's not very sensible. So what is happening is we are scattering ourselves unnecessarily. Okay, so that is where I want people to understand that, okay, this is the demand of today's life. You
right.
cannot escape it. But you can make yourself strong enough to face it and not, stress yourself out so much.
Right. So I think yes, I can very well relate to what you're saying, because I am as a person. I think you also know I am always multitasking, and somewhere every day I feel at the end of the now, as you
Hmm.
are, I would not like to say we are still young, but as you're aging, it really takes a toll on your mind and body, that when you're doing so many things. And I think with social media, it is more advocated, yes, no, you can multitask, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, so we are doing 10 different things, but I think you're not even focused on
Yeah, you're
a
not
single
to
thing.
any
So
of the
that
things
is
that
what
you're
I
doing
think we need
also,
to
right?
also
It's
change.
just very
Yeah,
haphazard. You just kind of the day. Yeah, yeah.
right, right. So we just, I think, the last phase, I think we can talk about that, and then let's go to the question, because I think I can see few more questions also, and there are few questions which have been asked to us beforehand also. So the last phase, where you were talking about how to sort of have a behavioral pattern
So this
with
is
ourselves.
probably the
If
step
you
where you
could throw a
would
little
want
bit
to take
light
a
on
little bit
that.
of professional help, right? Is that we all have an identity that is formulated. And
Okay.
unfortunately, this identity was formulated before we had responsibilities, before we developed our other external skill sets, right? So I think the fact is that a lot of our behaviors, a lot of our reactions, a lot of our interpretations go through this filter of this identity. And if you genuinely desire a lifestyle that is seamless and something where you can achieve a lot of things externally, you first need to shift this identity, right? So if, for example, and this unfortunately may not always be trauma based, like it may not be because you have been beaten in your childhood or you've been abused. I'm not making fun of those things. Of course, they hold a lot of importance, but something as simple as, for example, I was the youngest child in my family, and I was always looked upon as the kid. So it took me so much time to disassociate with the identity of being a baby and, saying that, okay, see, even I'm capable of being a grown up, even I'm capable of being responsible. And it is an internal shift. I think a lot of people who have joined us are homeopaths, and you will understand that when you come to internship, we will keep saying things like, I don't feel like a doctor, I don't feel like I've grown up, I don't feel like I can take up the responsibility. And you need to understand that is not because of you not knowing skills, or it is not because you don't have enough experience, but it is your or not incapacity, but the fact that you have not dissociated from the student mindset and gone into the professional mindset. And you need to understand these identities come up because they are useful to you at some point of time. Like, to be a student and to be a little helpless is a helpful thing when you are actually a student. It is not helpful when you are a doctor. It is not helpful once you grow up. So, but also, one is to have awareness of this is a big thing. Unless and until you are somebody who has really worked on yourself, it is not easy to identify these loopholes. And the second thing is, it needs to be a compassionate process. Like, I do feel like a lot of us may be used to hearing a lot of taunts, like "Are tujhe abhi tak nahi aata hai." You know this very normal thing that when we are entering college, our seniors taunt us, "Oh, tujhe itna bhi nahi aata hai." And the thing is, once we reach their position, we do the same thing to our juniors, right? Like, it's not that we are nicer to them. So what we need to understand is, when you are making such shifts, it is not easy in the sense that it's not that it takes a lot of time, or it's not that it's a very difficult process, but it needs to be done very sweetly. It needs to be done with the understanding and premise that the changes that you are making are A, safe, and B, they're beneficial for you. If you are going to scold yourself into being a person you want to be, what is going to happen is there's always going to be that disparity, right? And that is the methodology we all use. Like, every time you make a mistake, you don't say, okay, I made this mistake, I will learn and I will try not to do it next time. You always go, you're such an idiot, how did you do this, right? So this is, it's a deeper concept. I do think that it's something that requires a little time, requires a little effort, and it probably needs somebody professional to help you go through this, right? But if you can shift your identity and into a person who is successful, person who is capable, person who has a capacity for responsibility, you will be able to embrace life with a very different energy, right? You're not going to be stressed all the time. You are going to be in a happier space. And the second thing is, the way and concept with which you view life is going to shift. Like, so if you understand that you are a person who can be responsible, you will start enjoying a lot of aspects of your life and not dividing it like laziness, sitting in the bed and sleeping for hours is happiness, and going out and working is stressful. You will not make such black and white differentiations. You will start to understand that everything can be happy and everything can be difficult, right? So if you can start to make these changes, you will start to see that your internal dialogue also shifts. Like, you will start to see that when a situation happens, you will not go to the worst case situation. Like, for example, if somebody makes a face at you, initially you might think that, oh my god, are they looking at my teeth, are they looking at my clothes, what are they doing? Your brain will shift into saying, oh, maybe they are having a bad day. You will start batting for yourself essentially. So if you can start to make these shifts, right, it just opens up a new avenue to life, and it just makes life a lot easier, right?
Right. So I think we have spoken about this topic in detail, and right from how you can manage it on your own self regularly on daily basis, and at the end how to seek professional help if it's really getting difficult, and to, because as you mentioned, you clearly said that it is very difficult to acknowledge our behavioral patterns sometimes on our own, and if it's really not happening, we can and we should take professional help, which is really going to help us regulate our emotions in
Yeah.
a better way. So Dr. Vidya, we have a few questions. So the first question was asked by Dr.
Okay.
Prachi Singh, our very good friend. So So the question is, when do you address a situation as suppressed anger or a
See,
suppressed
one thing
emotion?
I will tell
When
you
do
is
you
suppression is not
understand that?
as
Yeah.
unknown as you would imagine. Like there are always signs and symptoms of the fact that you are suppressed. One of the biggest methods in which you can find out is that there is a constant, either you are having a quarrel in your head or there is a constant complaining that is happening. कि ऐसा नहीं हो रहा है, ऐसा नहीं चल रहा है. So that is a very good indication that there is suppressed emotion over there. Because your mind and body talk to you. We don't listen. That is another thing that we have to address, right? The second thing is the first step I feel where you learn to regulate your emotions, identify them, and become comfortable with them. Don't get overwhelmed by being very angry. See, because what happens is when you're a kid, right, and you get extremely upset, what happens is that they usually say, "Arey, itna gussa kaise kar rahe ho tum?" They don't tell you, okay, you get angry and this is how you deal with anger. So what happens automatically is it becomes an identity for us, right? This example I wanted to give earlier on is also you have certain, like in your physical body you have certain features, like you have the shape of your nose, the shape of your eyes, which are permanent, and you have features that change depending on the state of your health, like the texture of your skin, the fatness of your face, or whatever it is. And these things can be shifted and brought back to normal. So similarly, in your identity as a person, also your personality, also there are fixed traits that you are creative, you are somebody who's more happy, you are more serious, you're more logic based. All of these things are more or less permanent. And there are features that come up because you are not regulated. Like I'm a very irritable person, I'm a very fearful person, I have a lot of OCD. I think people love to speak about that nowadays. These are dysregulated states. So once you start to regulate yourself now, automatically your mind will bring it up to your notice. Keep see this is a situation that needs to be dealt with. Okay. Suppressed anger can be really helped if you can start to have a dialogue with yourself. So if you don't have the capacity to speak to people because they sometimes get irritated about you saying the same thing again and again, what you can start doing is journaling. And when you are journaling, to be authentic and to be absolutely filter free is something that can really help. And just write out because there you are not being judged. No one is sitting and listening to you. No one is sitting and telling you how can you use these words. Nothing of that sort. So if you start to sit and write, you will understand slowly, slowly, slowly कि वो anger के पीछे there is something that has happened that has hurt you, and that anger is basically coming to protect you from getting hurt again, right? So if a loved one has said something that has hurt you, you will start to formulate an identity of that loved one that they are really terrible, they are horrible, they're da, 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 so that you never go and approach them again and you don't get affected again. Okay, so the first state is A, to listen to yourself. Second state is to go through that emotional regulation, like I told you, to allow that emotion to feel it in your body, whether it is palpitations, whether it's trembling. Like when I get angry, I tremble a lot. So I allow that trembling to happen and say that okay, it's fine. You express yourself however you want. You do that. Third is to journal whatever it is the situation is. Then after all of this, you analyze ki why is it that I am reacting. And then after that, you can decide whether you want to put a boundary, whether you want to talk to that person, or whether you feel like it's not that big a deal. उसने बोल दिया मुझे थोड़ा बुरा लग गया ठीक है, it doesn't matter. Okay, so these are ways you want to consider. But first is bring clarity to yourself.
Right. Okay. Dr. Vidya, there's a very one more question which is I think very good and interesting, that when we are traumatized and numb from certain events in our life,
This is
how we can
something I would suggest very
reconstruct
strongly
them
that you take
back.
professional help. Don't do this alone. See, if you're talking about trauma and actual trauma, I want you to understand these are not like तुझे fracture हो गया तो you're not going to sit and heal it in the house, right? You're going to go to the hospital and get a cast. So don't sit and try to solve these things on your own. Yeah, please. I think a lot of people now
Solve
have certain
yourself.
things that, oh my God, I'll have to
Yeah.
sit in therapy for 6 months. It's going to take forever. These are fears that are not necessarily real. And the second thing is, unless and until you go through the process, you're not going to know whether it helps you or not. So एक दो therapy session जाने के लिए कुछ नहीं जाता है. Like it doesn't matter. You can go and see if it doesn't suit you, then you can think of an alternative. Two is yes, I will advise you that ask around and look for a good
Right.
therapist because just like everything else, there is a disparity, right? People are people, so you will want to find someone who's on par with you. Okay, and all of these conditioning that where people are afraid that थेरेपी गए तो वो लोग ट्रैप करके रखते हैं 6 महीने का पैसा लेते हैं 9 महीने का पैसा लेते हैं दीज थिंग्स आर नॉट रियल एनी मोर I think as a patient or as a client, you can go and ask them for like a one or two sessions to see how it suits you, and then go about it. But if you are really talking about numbness, you're talking about trauma, you're talking about the fact you're not able to engage with yourself, these are not things I would advise you to go on your tackle with on your own. These are topics you want to be in a very safe space with somebody who can direct you, not go about it blind.
Right, correctly. So we should seek professional help when necessary and in such situations, right? Okay. So another question is that in which circumstances it is healthy to hold back negative
You don't
emotions?
hold back emotions, you process. Okay. It goes back to the idea.
Right. So I think hold back negative. I think mainly I think it is in conversation with another person. I don't know what the question. I think to put forward your negative thoughts to other person. I
See,
don't
that
know.
is
Like in
something
which
only you
situation
can
it is
decide. I
healthy is
think you
the
really
question.
need to
Yeah.
understand that this is very much a thing which you have to cater to. Obviously, in cases where you are being abused, where you are being insulted, where you are being mistreated, you don't want to engage in those situations. So, let alone sit and interact with them and then react. But I do think it's again the same process. If you are somebody who is steady and stable, there are a lot of situations which you will just let go of because they are not worthy of engaging with. And even more so if you're a person who's very solid in their self-esteem and in their self-concept, right? So there's another book I would like you all to read. It is called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell. I'm very bad with names. I will again post that. So that's again a very good book that shows you how to shift your identity and embody a person who is success oriented, right? If you are embodying that state, a lot of things externally will not trigger you, and that is when you need to realize you have to operate from that perspective. तो वहां तक तुम पहुंच जाओगे ना, you will automatically be able to say कि is it worth really engaging in, or to lay a very firm boundary is something that's it's very nice, right? Like, so they are teasing. So for example, you're in a group of friends and they're teasing you, ragging you, not being nice to you. To say that, listen, I don't appreciate you making fun of me. There's nothing wrong with it. It's in a very firm, very calm, collected way that you say it. What we are afraid of at that time is if I open my mouth, people will think I'm not being
Right.
sporty, I'm being a killjoy, they will say something about me. The point is, if your self concept is in place, it won't matter what other people say. You will not be bothered about it. But laying a firm
Right.
boundary is a very healthy thing to do. And again, I'm saying there is no suppression of emotions. You will process it and channelize
Right.
it and decide your action base coming. You will decide your action from a very steady base.
Right. So I think what you're trying to say is you need to process your emotion rather than just ignoring them and just setting them aside. You need to process them and
Yeah.
then maybe respond in the way which
See,
is
there's
more
no right
healthy
and
for
wrong
you.
in this. Yeah, that is
That's
what I
what
want.
you
That
meant. So
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
If temporarily also you
yeah.
keep
So
quiet
what
and
you
then later
said,
on you text and I didn't
yeah.
appreciate
So what you
what you were saying. I didn't appreciate what you were saying. I didn't like how you handled. That's also a correct way of handling it. But then that decision needs to come from a very steady place. It shouldn't come from a place where you're questioning yourself, doubting yourself, worrying about अरे मैंने बोल दिया तो वो दोस्ती तोड़ देगी. All that stuff should not be the motivating factor. Yeah.
right. What you're saying maybe sounding simple, but I know it's very difficult for every one of us. And that's why the we discussed about how to develop immunity or emotional intellectual immunity is very important. And I think if we keep on practicing this on daily basis, or it is going to be much easier for us to accept ourselves the way we are, and then be confident in ourselves and accept ourselves, be aware about our emotions, and
Correct. Correct.
then respond to people. I think we will be in a better place, right? So yeah, so there is one more question that how to consider stuck like how can we continue with meditation? Okay, continue with meditation even if our motivation is just dried up. So as we spoke about meditation, even I am a person who finds it very difficult to meditate because I am myself a very restless person, and it's very difficult for many people to
See,
meditate. So how to be
one is to
consistent with that
understand if you are
habit? If you could
genuinely a
throw
person
some
who's
light
not
on
in,
that.
like you're saying, you're very restless. Don't expect it to be like you'll become ekdam zen in the first time. It's not going to happen, right? Like you're not going to reach that state immediately. It's a lot like saying that I want to learn this new language and I should be able to fluently speak in sentences the moment I start. ऐसा नहीं होगा. So one is be nice to yourself when you're doing this. The second thing is, I think being solution based is very important. So when you are especially going through a process that's not interesting and is boring, you will have to focus on what the result of the situation is. Like, you don't want to get up and go for a walk every day. But then if you say, okay, by December, I will be able to fit into these clothes, or I will be able to look like this, I will be able to post such photos, that is the motivating factor. So you need to find motivation for yourself, okay, somewhere down the line, and you need to realize that that's part of the growing up process. Like you can't expect the activity to keep entertaining you. You have to find to entertain yourself and get on with it. And but it's again like I'm saying, any learning process now. This curve will happen, like where you first are motivated by some interest, like oh let me see what happens. Then you come to a phase which is just boring, where you're putting efforts but you're not seeing a lot of results. And this is true with any aspect of life, right? Where you're just like, this is boring, this is not fun. Blah, blah, blah. You get past that and you become good at it, right? Where you become skilled. That is when the fun starts. That is when you can start being creative. That is when you can start taking liberties. Okay, so this is even while you're playing music or learning how to play the piano. There is a point where it's just going to be boring and you plonking keys. But once you become efficient at it, you can start composing and start doing things. So it is the same methodology whenever you're learning a new skill set, right? So whenever you're feeling demotivated, tell yourself there is a point where you are going to be good. Mathematically, it is impossible that you will not reach that. It is just not possible you will not be successful if you stick to it. So just keep reminding yourself that this is what I'm going to reach. This is where I'm going to reach. I'm going to be able to be calm and I'm going to be able to meditate in the spot for 15 minutes. This is going to happen. So when you keep telling yourself, you will come to that point. And of course, being not extremely rigid कि एक आधा दिन नहीं किया तो ठीक है, but come back to it. The new thing that I have started now is that I build momentum. Like supposing we start on the first of every month, saying that I will start doing all of these things. I start 1 week prior, so that if I make a couple of mistakes, 1 or 2 days मुझे bore होता है मैं नहीं करती हूँ. But by the time I reach like for July, I have 2 3 things which I want. I have already started implementing them now. So when I hit July, I'm already with some amount of momentum. So then the likelihood of me backing out is much lesser. So that way you can curate, but basically understand कि तुम्हें कुछ करना है तो commit to it and find ways to make it happen.
Right, right. So, yes, another next question. Okay, this is asked in Marathi, but I'll just convert for in English. That I think this happens with every one of us. That there are a lot of negative emotions which keeps on coming in our mind, and because of that, there is a lot of sadness sort of thing which we go through. So, how to basically control this cycle of going into negative emotions
It goes
and
back to the
then
same thing,
feeling
Tanvi.
sad
The
about
first
it?
thing
So
is
how
you
can we
have to
control
start
that?
doing these processes. Like, when you're feeling tired and you are feeling like your body is aching, the solution is exercise.
Right.
And initially you don't feel like exercising because your body is just not up to it. But thoda sa, gritting your teeth, starting the process is very important. So whoever this person is, I would advise them to get into Wim Hof breathing. You can YouTube it, you can check it out on YouTube. It's excellent. It's 10 minutes. If you start it, you will start to see that automatically, like I told you, your brain will shift from being in the limbic system to coming back to your logical center, right? And automatically you will see that your negative emotions shift. So what I would advise you is to start to understand that you are not controlling your mind. You are creating an environment where the mind can focus on better things. Okay, just like you are not controlling the fat deposition, you are exercising in a way that the body aligns to it and automatically gives you a particular shape, right? So understand that you are not battling with your mind. So sitting at that time and reasoning out with the negative thought, "Arey, we will fail," and then you say, "No, no, no, why would you fail?" Don't engage with that. Understand that if once you calm down, automatically the negative thoughts will start shifting, right? And again, if you find that it is extremely difficult for you to get out of it, please seek professional help. Please don't do this alone. Don't keep saying that. Also, understand that this necessity to do it alone is not a healthy response. Okay, asking for help is a very fundamental thing of being in a human society. So please ask out, reach out to your friends, tell people. You'll be surprised the moment you communicate your issues. People will be so receptive, and you will have people who have gone through similar processes who give you such simple solutions to come out of it. So start engaging with people slowly, slowly asking them, ki, yaar, I'm not able to do this. What should I do? Help me. But that initial step of vulnerability might be challenging, but it is worth it. I feel it is worth, just trying to communicate what is happening with you.
Yes, so absolutely, I agree with you that we should all be a little vulnerable, because I feel that as humans, we always feel that we are the only one who are suffering. But I feel every person here has its struggle, they have their story, though on social media they would portray it otherwise. But if you are born as human, you are going through your own struggle. And if we be vulnerable and share our story, maybe to our close ones or to a therapist, you'll understand that you're not the only one, and you will also get solution to your problem. Yes. Yeah. So one more question we have is that how to get more
Same thing.
tenacious
Build
and not to
immunity.
get
Just like you
easily
want to go and eat
offended.
pani puri outside, build immunity. Don't do it in the monsoon, please. Don't
Right.
eat pani puri outside. But yeah, basically just start of yourself a
Yeah.
little bit more.
So yeah, it yeah, just start the process. Yeah, and you will see the result. Obviously, it will take time. Like physical health doesn't develop in a day. You will not see in a day. Mental health or mental immunity will also take some time to develop. Right. Another question is how to, I think, how to deal
If
with
you have a
intense
decent concept
jealousy,
of yourself,
especially
you will not
romantic
feel very
ones.
jealous. Right? I do think, like, see, it's the same thing, yeah. Like when you want to do exercise, your core muscles need to be strong. You any exercise you want, right? So you have to have a strong core, and that is what I'm saying. That ये बहुत एलोपैथी होम्योपैथी जैसा हो गया है. Like you symptoms पे ध्यान दोगे, then it is a never-ending field. Like you will fix one, another pain will come up. You'll fix one pimple, another pimple will come up. You have
Right.
to go to the root and start to strengthen it there. It's as simple as right, and that is why initially when you are starting
Right.
out this process, my request is to not pay too much attention to the external circumstance, not to worry too much कि अगर मैं ये situation में जाऊंगी तो क्या होगा. That is not a helpful way to think. And again, you need to understand it is coming from an area of being stressed and not feeling confident of yourself. So forget all of that for the time being. Like when you are starting for the next 1 or 2 months, concentrate solely on just establishing these routines, and then see how you are doing. If you feel you are not feeling improvement, you are still feeling a little
Right.
unsteady, then go and ask a professional what is happening. Right? Essentially, it is the same thing that if your identity is strong, if you are confident of yourself, you will not have these issues. Right?
Yes, I think, and so we need to, I think, even to all our viewers, audience, I think we start practicing this habits what Dr. Vidya has mentioned, and I'll ask her to write down again in the comment section maybe the phases, so that people can go back and read them, and they will try to incorporate them in their day-to-day life. And with that also, just practice that for your months. And if I think it's still you don't feel confident, or you still keep on feeling that emotion, and it is troubling your day-to-day life, it is troubling your day-to-day activities, I think you should seek professional help, and it is nothing wrong in that, right? I think yes.
I think
So anything
they are
else,
good, yeah. I think
Dr.
people
Vidya,
can,
you
like, I
would
will be
like to
posting
add,
these
or
phases on
just
my page also. Like, I will putting up written posts. Please get in
right,
touch with us if you guys have any questions. But then I think overall, just start, like, just
right,
start doing it and then see how you are feeling and then go along with it. I think it's the same like dieting, that you read 100,000 diets, keto diet be here, this is also there, that is also there. Just start and see what works for you. You don't need a perfect plan in the beginning. You will learn as you go. Just put your head down and start. I think you'll be fine.
Yes. So I think it was a very insightful session for all of us, and we really had. And this is a topic which is never ending, which I feel I still have so many questions. But I think we will take it. No, if myself, apart from the question which was asked for us, I myself have so many questions. I think we can take another live session with you, and we
My
can talk about this
pleasure.
later.
It was a
But
pleasure,
really,
Tanvi.
thank
Thank
you,
you for
Dr.
having
Vidya. It
me.
was really, really helpful. Yeah. Yes,
Thanks for
thank
attending.
you so much.
Bye bye.
Yeah, bye, bye. And thank you, everyone. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Vyansh. Thank you for attending. Okay, just a minute. I am not able to end the session.